28 minutes long, 15 professionals, including 3 of the authors of the National Research Council report, 2 former EPA scientists, one who've testified before Congress, a Nobel Prize winner, dentists who had previously promoted fluoridation and have changed their mind, 28 minutes. And I think by the time people have watched this, it's an easy 28 minutes. They will be appalled.
We forgot to turn your headphones off on, so they're going to be crawling around on the floor. I notice them like wolves. We always have to do it once we're on air. No, I'm just joking. They're going to crawl in, doctor, and turn that on. But so you can put them on in a few minutes, and we can take calls. But you've got the floor. Talk about the health problems, the studies, what we know this is doing, and how we get it removed. Because you're a busy guy. You're giving a speech tonight. You're coming back here to be interviewed. You're passionate, and you are also going to speak to a city council person here at about 2:30 while you've got to leave. So go over what we know it's doing medically, the things that it attacks in the body, and where this is going.
Well, we can expect it to attack everywhere because it hits at the heart of biology when it inhibits enzymes and plays around with G proteins. But we are concerned about damage to the brain, damage to the endocrine system. It accumulates in the pineal gland. It appears to lower melatonin. You know, melatonin is like a biological clock turning on events. So we are concerned about the earlier onset of puberty, maybe partly related to fluoride exposure. After the arthritic symptoms of fluoride poisoning of the bones become more brittle. So we're worried about increased hip fractures in the elderly. I mean, there are so many things. The trouble is that when you go through this list, people they listen to all this list of potential dangers and they throw up their hands and say, oh, it's impossible. That's not possible, that one substance could cause all these problems. Well, of course, it is possible.
And it's the one substance the government added to the water, but because they care.
Yeah, we've never used the public water supply to deliver any other medication since 1945. And the reason is simple. You can't control the dose. You can't control who gets it. There's no individual supervision by a doctor.
It's immoral to force medicate, but now they're promoting, doctor, lithium in the water, statins in the water.
This is crazy.
This to make us to behave.
But notice the way people are reacting. No, no, no. They say no to lithium and no to statins, but they say yes, yes, yes to fluoride, even though it works topically.
Well, that's because I went to Margaret Sanger school in Dallas when I was a little kid in the first grade. You know, we all know about Margaret Sanger, the eugenicist. And we were all, they came in several times a year, gave us the little pills. I always felt sick after I took them. And it had little cartoon characters, showed us film reels about Mr. Fluoride wants to help us. And so people are, for 50 plus years, are sat down in front of film reels and taught Mr. Fluoride is going to help you.
Yeah. Yep. And, you know, toothpaste has been one of the ways that most people have thought that fluoride is good for teeth. But you notice the FDA that has done nothing, the Food and Drug Administration has done nothing to regulate fluoridation or test fluoride for ingestion, has a warning on the back of the tube of toothpaste. It says only use a pea-sized amount. If you accidentally swallow more than that, get medical attention or contact a poison control center. Well, somebody's worked out that a pea-sized amount of fluoridated toothpaste contains 1/4 milligram of fluoride, which you would get in 1 glass of water. Could you imagine the FDA requiring that sign above the tap? Don't drink more than 1 glass of water.
Hey, guys, I should have told you this before the show. I apologize. But I know I've shown tubes of toothpaste on air from just a year ago. It said that. Now they've changed it where it makes no sense. So they've actually removed that. It just talks about poison control and don't swallow. But they've taken the pea-size comment away because it was waking so many people up. But the point is, a normal glass, 1 part per million, has the same amount as what's in the pea-size.
Pea-size amount, absolutely. Absolutely, and this is where Monty Python comes in. Could you imagine? Over every tap, there would be the same warning. If you drink more than 1 glass of water a day, then contact a poison control center.
Keep going, Doc. I'm going to show some people some fluoride here.
So I think that the concern here is that we are not being protected by any of our federal regulations on this. The EPA is not doing its job in determining a new safe level. The FDA has never regulated fluoride for ingestion, and the CDC promotes it and has got a conflict of interest when they turn around and tell everybody it's safe.
Guys, we got a document cam shot. Will somebody zoom in on this? HEB baby, and it says purified water, and it's with fluoride added. So for 5 years, the government admits, do not give fluoride water to babies.
Yeah.
It goes through their blood-brain barrier. It causes dental fluorosis with the teeth that haven't erupted yet. But then magically, there's this big campaign by literally hundreds of manufacturers. Oh, it's for the baby, purified water with added fluoride. Don't you tell a mother that she's been doing wrong in the past. Give that baby look, Junior's not going to be, Junior's, you may have 150 IQ. Junior's going to be digging ditches and lucky if he can. I mean, yeah, but hey, it's a gift,
Yeah. No.
I mean, what's wrong with brain-damaging babies? It's a little baby right there on the cover, doctor.
I know.
It's good. Look at it. Does the child look happy?
It's hard to remember back, Alex, but in the 1940s, before fluoridation began, fluoride had caused more damage to agriculture. The fluoride as a pollutant had caused more damage to agriculture than any other pollutant. And this was fluoridation, according to Chris Bryson at least, is part of the, if you like, the rehabilitation of fluoride as a nice substance, not a nasty substance, ruining agriculture, crippling cattle, poisoning vegetation, but it was safe enough to give it to your little kiddies and brush on your teeth.
Oh, that's another issue. I've seen all these vets on YouTube, veterinarians, and they talk about whenever they have droughts out in Colorado and other areas, they will then pump municipal water out to the feedlots, and the cow's hair starts falling out, they start dying. And so the farmers have figured out, man, you don't give fluoridated water to a cow. But look, it doesn't matter. If I show people a document cam shot, if I just draw a little smiley face right there and a little smiley eyes,
yes, yeah,
then I mean it's friendly. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But talking about animals, there's an amazing videotape called Poisoned Horses. And this is about Kathy Justice's horses in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. She and her husband bred show horses, quarter horses, that won 52 ribbons, and then they fluoridated their water, and unfortunately their horses drank that water. Their health completely collapsed. They lost 8 horses and 4 dogs, and they loved those horses, and they looked after them like other people. They have no children.
No, I've seen it. Their hair is falling out.
It's awful. Awful. I mean, and the late Lennart Crook, a veterinarian from Cornell University, the world's leading authority on fluorosis in cattle, documents that they had fluorosis. The teeth, the bones, he measured the fluoride in their bones and declared categorically these animals had fluorosis.
Incredible, doctor. So where do we go from here? I mean, people should be up in arms, with the pitchforks and torches, not literally, but metaphorically, going down to city councils and when the smiley-faced mayor laughs at you, say, look, I know this city's been lobbied and given a lot of money to fluoridate. Stop it.
Yeah.
Because tell folks where the fluoride comes from.
It's the wet scrubbing liquor from the superphosphate fertilizer industry. They had to put a spray of water on to collect these toxic gases, and those toxic gases get converted into hexafluorosilicic acid. They cannot dump that stuff into the sea by international law. It's too concentrated to dump locally. But if someone buys it from them, it stops being a hazardous waste and it becomes a product. And the people that are buying this conveniently are the public water people. So once they buy it, it's a product, and now they can put into our drinking water, which they're not allowed to put into the sea. And, of course, it has a whole bunch of other crap in there in addition to...
Well, that's what I was going to... I've had, the famous dentist on, I forget his name, you'll probably remember it.
Marty Lineback?
From Canada. He was the guy who lobbied decades ago and was the face of let's get fluoridated. Mm-mm. And then he finally was sent to literature. Wait, this isn't just sodium fluoride. I thought it was calcium fluoride. This is hundreds of other chemicals under the name fluoride.
Right, absolutely.
So what other goodies are in there for the children?
Well, they mine the same rock for uranium, so we have to worry about radioactive isotopes.
Oh, well, that's good for you.
Yeah. But the one of particular concern is arsenic, because according to the EPA, there's no safe level of arsenic. And so if you're adding a chemical to the water and it contains arsenic, which it does, then you're going to increase the cancer rate. We can argue about how much it increases the cancer rate, but as we're also arguing about how little benefit it is to swallow fluoride as far as teeth is concerned. So for a small, if any, benefit to teeth, we are risking increasing the risk of cancer amongst our population. Another bizarre twist.
I'm going to do a YouTube bit where I'm going to, I'll spit it out later, where I'm going to drink or maybe I'll put milk in so it's fake. I'm going to drink, because I'm going to say, oh, it's a sunny day, you know, maybe at the beach, and I'm going to take a big thing of, say, copper tone, and I'm going to drink it. Yeah. And I'm going to go, what? That's what I do with fluoride. You know, I don't put it topically on my teeth. I drink it, so it must be for my skin too. I'll drink the copper tone.
Yeah, suntan lotion to protect the skin. And that's what we're doing because it works topically. And it's not us that are saying that. This is the Center of Disease Control in 1999 said, whoops, we made a big mistake. We thought the babies had to swallow this before their teeth are erupted. We were wrong. It worked, the predominant mechanism, it works from the outside of the tooth. So why is everybody swallowing it and exposing their whole bodies to it and our babies' brains to it when they could just be brushing on the teeth and spitting it?
Doctor, you think the government wanted to help the children they shot up with syphilis in Guatemala? What about the black people? Or what about the UN caught this year shooting kids up with live polio? Oh, it's an accident too, just like the fluoride. Well, of course, I have their own documents in my film Endgame, and I'll just say it on record. I like the fact you just stick to the science. But we have their quotes, how they're killing us, and they think it's a big joke, too. It's very funny to them.
Well, let me tell you, let's get closer to home on this. The gentleman that was the chief toxicologist of the Manhattan Project, a guy called Harold Hodge, who was the #1 promoter of the safety of fluoridation from the 1940s through to practically the 1980s, also was part of the team that injected plutonium into patients at Rochester Medical School without their knowledge.
But plutonium's good for babies. Maybe we should put it in the water.
Well, I mean, it's certainly somebody who didn't have qualms about injecting plutonium.
No, sir, look, I got John P. Holdren's book right here about putting sterilants in the water.
Yeah, really? Oh, my goodness.
Very, very nice person. He's the White House science czar.
Yeah.
But again, maybe I shouldn't read this. It's a little scary. I mean, he wrote it, but, you know.
You know, the largest study, Alex, the largest study ever done in the United States to look at tooth decay as a function of fluoride, looked at 39,000 children in 84 communities. And the best that they could come up with in the difference between a child that had lived all its life in a fluoridated or all its life in a non-fluoridated was a saving of 0.6 of one tooth surface out of 128 tooth surfaces in a child's mouth. And if you adjust the data for the delayed eruption in teeth caused by fluoride, there is absolutely no difference in tooth.
But that's worth having a 20-point IQ reduction.
Well, I don't think it's 20 points. So
well, the studies I've seen is 10 to 20. It runs the gamut.
In this Chinese study I referred to before, the levels in the water were 2.5 to 4.5, and that was a 5 to 10 IQ drop. But they extrapolated that this drop would begin at about 1.9 parts per million, but that was with a small study group. So if you took in the whole exposure range and sensitivity...
But people need to not think too much. You know, we're going to skip this final break so we have time to take a few calls. Dr. Connett, I'm really impressed with the work you've done. I hope folks will get your book, The Case Against Fluoride, and it's in bookstores too?
It's in bookstores. You can get it from Amazon.com. I think you're going to carry it. We've tried to write a book which is easy to read or for a fairly intelligent person. But if you are qualified, if you're a doctor, if you're a dentist, if you're a scientist, then all the references there's not a single...
And by the way, people should buy this book and Endgame and other things and give it to doctors, give it to dentists, and say, look, instead of believing what the AMA or different groups are telling you, or the American Dental Association, read this, know the facts, and any scientist or doctor that looks at this wakes up. You know, my dad's a dentist, and about 10 years ago, he actually looked at literature and said, I guess you're right about this fluoride stuff.
But don't give it to them, Alex. Lend it to them. There's no reason why you should give anything to a doctor or dentist. They're earning a lot of money. So lend it to them by all means. But people don't appreciate things they get for nothing. So I